Yeah, it might have been the monster you become when you take 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 opioid pills. Maybe you become another person. I've seen that before. The person standing before me was not the person who committed the crime, though it's the same individual. We'll leave that at that. Before announcing sentence on these cases, with regard to all of the other pending cases, are any of them here in Colleton, or I'm sure some of them are?
Yes, sir.
Half of them, or?
I don't have that in front of me, but there are a substantial number of charges here. There's some in Hampton, Orangeburg, Beaufort, Allendale. There may be others that I'm not thinking of right now.
We might have worn out our welcome here in Colleton.
Colleton's been great.
They have been, and I'll take this opportunity to thank Sheriff Hill and all of the court officials and really everyone I've met and dealt with while here in Colleton County. Just been great. But without any delay, we're going to schedule some of the other matters.
Yes,
I know Mr. Harpootlian's scheduling is complicated, and you've sacrificed quite a bit to be able to be here defending Mr. Murdaugh, as well as the Attorney General's office, with all the other many things and obligations you have. And to be able to have the Attorney General here, Alan Wilson, for the period of time that he's devoted to being here along with everyone else, it's been quite a sacrifice. But there are other victims whose cases deserve to be heard. And this case has jumped some of those other cases, perhaps jumped it because of this case resulting in an assault on the integrity of the judicial system in our state, law enforcement in our state. Even during this trial, the law enforcement have been maligned for the past 5 or 6 weeks by one who had access to the wheels of justice, to be able to deflect the investigation. And as the evidence is pointed out in this case, the looming storm that Mr. Waters talked about, I can just imagine on that day, June 7th, when a lawyer is confronted and confesses to having stolen over $500,000 from a client, and he has a tagger like Mark Tinsley on his tail pursuing discovery in the case involving the death of Mallory Beach, and having a father, for the most part, on his deathbed. I can imagine, or really can't imagine, but I know it had to have been quite a bit going through your mind on that day. But amazingly, to have you come and testify that it was just another ordinary day, that my wife and son and I were out just enjoying life. Not credible, not believable. you can convince yourself about it, but obviously you have the inability to convince anyone else about that. So if you made any such arguments as a lawyer, you would lose every case of that, like that. Cases you will never have an opportunity to argue anymore, except perhaps your own as you sit in the Department of Corrections. Anything further?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Murdaugh, I sentence you to the State Department of Corrections on each of the murder indictments in the murder of your wife, Maggie Murdaugh. I sentence you for the term of the rest of your natural life for the murder of Paul Murdaugh, whom you probably love so much. I sentence you to prison for murdering him for the rest of your natural life. Those sentences will run consecutive. Under the statute involving possession of a weapon during a violent crime, there is no sentence where a life sentence is imposed on other indictments. That is the sentence of the court, and you are remanded to the State Department of Corrections. And officers may carry forth on the imposition. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Before we adjourn, an order was issued concerning maintaining the juror's identity being anonymous. That order was issued, and for the most part, it's been complied with, except for the jury leaving the courtroom yesterday, or not the jury, but the defendant leaving the courtroom while the jury is still seated. Protecting the identity of the jurors is certainly extremely important during the course of a trial. I have no problem whatsoever with the jurors unmasking themselves and speaking freely with the media, because they have undergone a life-changing experience, and as it relates to many of them. And some of them are here now, and I want them to know that should anyone attempt to harass them or annoy them, please let me know and I will address the issue. Secondly, there's a complaint now regarding the posting of autopsy photographs or photos that came from within the courtroom. It's based on the direction of the photographs. It did not come from the audience. It came somehow from within the well of the court. The parties have requested an investigation of that. I have my hands full doing my job, and I don't attempt to conduct any investigations beyond the conducting of a trial. But to the extent that law enforcement decides to review that, that's will be the responsibility of law enforcement. Yes. And of course, one of the reasons we've sought to seal graphic photos is because the parties have the right to privacy and a right to those matters not being publicly disclosed. If anyone has heard about the recent settlement that Kobe Bryant's, another sports analogy, Kobe Bryant's wife just made with Los Angeles County and others out there over certain disclosures of information involving the death of Kobe Bryant. Liability can be substantial, and it's a risk for the most part. That's not worth taking. So we'll let everyone judge themselves accordingly with that regard. Aside from all that, our business is done here in Colleton County, and I get to use my gavel one or few times during this trial and order that court be adjourned. Sine die.
All rise.
Long trial with more than 75 witnesses and 800 pieces of evidence. This verdict came back fast. Less than 3 hours it took for the jury to make that decision, and now Murdaugh on to sentencing, facing a life behind bars.
In South Carolina, a major fall from grace for a member of a prominent legal family.
Guilty.
Alec Murdaugh found guilty on all counts for the murders of his wife Maggie and son Paul on the family's sprawling hunting estate back in 2021. The prosecution, which has argued Murdaugh's motive was to distract from alleged financial crimes and other accusations swirling around his family, speaking just after the verdict.
It doesn't matter what you think, how prominent you are. If you do wrong, if you break the law, if you murder, then justice will be done in South Carolina.
The jury coming to its decision just hours after hearing closing arguments by the defense, who suggested there were missteps in the investigation and what they call circumstantial evidence surrounding a man who they portrayed as a loving husband and father struggling with addiction.
I respectfully request that you do not compound a family tragedy with another.
Perhaps the most vital piece of evidence in the state's case, this video at the family's kennel from Paul's phone, where Alec's voice is heard in the background along with Maggie and Paul just minutes before the murders. Murdaugh had repeatedly told investigators he wasn't there that night, later admitting it was him when he took the stand.
I did lie to them.
Prosecutors pointing to that lie as part of a troubling pattern for Murdaugh, who they say was willing to lie, cheat, steal, and even kill his family to maintain his wealthy lifestyle.
I think he loved Maggie. I think he loved Paul. But you know who he loved more than that? He loved Alex. And he exercised his greatest power of choice to make sure that life continued.
In the end, the jury concluded the state proved its case beyond a reasonable doubt. Murdaugh staring blankly as the court clerk read the guilty verdict, later mouthing it's okay to his surviving son, Buster. The judge denying a request by the defense for a mistrial and thanking the jury for their service.
But certainly the verdict that you've reached is supported by the evidence, circumstantial evidence, direct evidence, all of the evidence pointing to only one conclusion. That's the conclusion that you all reached.
Outside the courthouse, South Carolina's Attorney General calling it a good day for his state and saying the evidence spoke on behalf of Maggie and Paul.
We can't bring him back, but we can bring him justice.
Alec, is there anything you want to share?
After a dramatic day in court, Murdaugh led out into a van in handcuffs to continue his life behind bars.
Now, before the judge gives Murdaugh his sentence, we expect to hear more testimony from the witness stand. We could hear potentially from victims of Murdaugh's financial crimes, as well as members of his own family in his defense. He is facing 30 years to life. Craig?
All right.
Hey, Cicelo, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. I'm unpacking and moving around, but I'm here, boo.
Girl, I knew that Joker was going to get life.
Girl, he's crazy.
He is crazy. The whole entire family is crazy.
I didn't
Talk
follow
about
the whole
entitled.
trial. I didn't follow the whole trial, but yeah. You kill your wife and your kid, you need to go down.
Well, did you watch the Netflix special? Oh, God. Even though you know he was convicted, man, that special was good. That was one of the best documentaries, specials that I had seen in a long time, and it was very, 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 very detailed. You know, with a lot of witnesses, or not witnesses, but what would you call them? Just a lot of people who could vouch for like their lifestyle, the way they live, different. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right on the money.
Man, I'm telling you, it was crazy. Like, I had watched it. When did I watch it? Like maybe a week ago. It's like it's only 3 episodes too, because I thought it was gonna be longer than that. But it's 3 episodes. And when I saw how their family was, like how they went about trying to protect their name when their kids did things wrong.
Oh, one of those kind.
Girl, like his son, the one he killed, his son, Paul, the one that he killed, because it was Paul and Buster. So the youngest one, Paul, when they had showed how he was responsible for the boating accident because he was drunk as hell. He was an alcoholic in high school, and he was drunk as I don't know what. And he wrecked his boat while his friends was on there. And immediately when his dad and grandpa got there, they told the police, they lied and told the police that it was another boy who did it. Then they was going around harassing and trying to intimidate the rest of the kids, telling them to say that such and such kid did it and stuff. And then like that, there was one statement, I'm not going to get a whole documentary away, but there was one statement that the father made. He said to the parents of the girl that was killed, he said, there's no way that I can grieve for your daughter knowing that my son's life is on the line. Because he didn't want his son to go to prison for the murder. Girl, that's all I needed to hear.
He actually said that?
He actually said, I'm telling you, it's in the documentary. And I was like, because this family, they're grieving. and even when now they're lawyers, they greats, you know, they come from great lawyers, and their company was founded by their great, you know what I mean, the law firm. And so when the grandpa and the father, you know, Alec Murdaugh, when he got there on the scene of the boat accident, they didn't call the parents of the family of the daughter who died. They immediately start covering it up immediately, and the girl wasn't even found for like a week. And they was like, why did it take so long to find this girl in this river, in this area? They thought that it was a cover up, like somebody, you know, hid her body and all kind of stuff, so that they could get a jump on covering this up, because they had to do the investigation, just like a car wreck. You know, they sat people.
That's what that
They had
old
like
money
a
do.
computer module. This person sat here. This person got here. This how they got the injury. You know, just like a car wreck, to find out who was responsible, who was the real driver. You know, things like that. So I don't know if they had hit that girl's body or not, but it was very strange. Like, you have to watch that documentary. The things that went on, the people who mysteriously were murdered, including the housekeeper. Child, I just had a feeling.
Yeah, the housekeeper.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Oh, they were them. Don't see. That's what that long money can do, baby.
Yep.
Long money can hide some deep stuff.
Yes. And they usually have, people with long money usually have a whole bunch of dark family secrets and skeletons in their closet, girl.
And some maniacs.
Yeah. Psychopaths in the families. And you already know they have plenty of money. So most families like that who have plenty of money to just throw away. I mean, yacht parties for the teenagers and there's all kind of things going on. They usually have a lot of money for drugs and alcohol. You know, Alec was addicted, right, to pills. Yeah, he was addicted to pills, and his kids would like try to cover up for him. His kids would try to cover up for him. And if he had a bad night where he was just so high off of pills, they would try to help him get ready in the morning and help him, you know, get to work, get to the office. They was like covering it up, just like the father was covering up his son's alcoholism. You know, when he had murdered that girl in his boat, it was a cover up everywhere. That story was good. That documentary was good. Hey, Taze Inc. What's up? She said hello from Tina.
Hey, y'all.
Hello, Tina from Tanya.
Yeah,
But yes, if y'all ain't watched that documentary, I'm telling you, the trial, man, I'm telling you, if y'all haven't watched the documentary, it just sheds so much light, like so much light. It's so very, very detailed in everything. And a lot of people were scared. Kudos, shout out to all the people who testified, to the people who came forward, to all the people who volunteered their time to the Netflix series. Do you know how scared those kids was to talk?
Imagine.
Like, that's like how it is in the hood. Like, you know, there's like a crime lord, a big time drug dealer, or a big time gang member, and something happened, and you know what happened, but you be scared to talk and scared for your life and all this kind of stuff. They were in that type of situation because these men were known allegedly to cover up murders, and people would come up missing. Like missing if they spoke down on them or made allegations against them. So shoot, ain't no telling how many bodies they might find in the future.
In the attic.
Child, oh my God, and they house, oh my God, they house was so huge.
I bet.
They had like acres and acres and acres, and everybody had a house. They had the big main house, then Paul had a house, then I mean, there's all these houses around the house and farms and cows and horses and just all kind of stuff. They had money. And this motherfucker fucked it up. Oh, did you hear? Did you see that part, Cislo, about the maid or the housekeeper?
I ain't see any of it. I ain't follow any of it. That's why I came on so you could tell.
Well, child, let me tell you. Okay, there was this housekeeper, right? That had been a housekeeper for a very, very long time. And somehow she had an accident at their house. And what they said was she had accidentally tripped over their dogs and died from a fall. Now that's a hell of a fall.
Over a dog.
That's a hell of a fall, right?
That's a heck of a story.
So what had happened was they did a autopsy. She had broken ribs and everything, head wounds, trauma from tripping over a dog. And see, what he did was the father. What he did was, like maybe a few months before that, he had uh took out a policy, not just a regular policy, but a what do you call that? When you own property, oh God, what
A
kind of policy?
mortgage, a loan.
No, like let's say it's McDonald's, and you took out a policy for the McDonald's if anybody got hurt there. So it's like really large amounts that you can get when you own like property like that. Like let's say it's a hospital. You know what I mean? I can't think of it right off the top of my head. Commercial.
Okay.
Commercial. Okay. He took out a commercial policy for his property, even though it's just homes. But I guess because it's land and it's farm area and all that kind of stuff, I guess he could do that. But then again, he is an attorney. So they don't tell him what he did to get that policy right. So that was taken out like a few months before the housekeeper died. And so when the housekeeper died, guess what this fool did, girl? He said to the family, well, he didn't say to the family. He took it upon himself to be the lawyer for the housekeeper.
Oh, without them even
he filed a death. You know how if you got hurt or killed at the hospital, your attorney is going to go up against the hospital. Basically, he was going up against himself because that was his property, right?
Right.
And he got all these millions of dollars for her, the dead lady. And all that money was supposed to go to her surviving family members, her children, husband, whatever.
That's how he obtained all his wealth then.
That was this one particular, I don't know. This is just one particular situation. And the family never knew that he was acting as her lawyer. They never knew that he was acting as her lawyer or that he won. He didn't get a one red cent from the lawsuit from his own commercial insurance policy.
That's crazy.
So why they family said now mine's a housekeeper. She didn't have a lot of money. The family didn't have from a lot of money. They could have used that to bury her. They could have used that to, just as a beneficiary. It's just rightfully yours. So yeah, and they didn't find that out until they started investigating him for the murders of his wife and his son. And then when they asked her children, she said, "Did you know that he had acted as lawyer for your mother's accident and death, and that he won all these millions of dollars?" It was a whole bunch. I can't remember the amount, but it was a whole bunch of millions. And they said no. And they was looking at each other like, "Did you get anything? Did you get anything? Did you get anything?" And they all were like, "No, we never known anything." So it was a lot of scandal. It was a lot of scandals. A lot of scandals. Besides the murder of his wife and son.
Just terrible though, Tanya.
Right. And then you saw he killed the youngest son, Paul. That's the one who was responsible for the murder of Mallory, the girl who fell off the boat when he wrecked the boat when he was drunk. So I can imagine when he decided which one of these family members should I choose to kill. it was probably quite easy for Paul. Because Paul was the child that caused them a lot of heartache and pain. And cost them a lot of money as far as civilly, you know, for the death of Mallory, the girl who died, her family. But yeah, y'all have to watch that. Y'all definitely have to watch that. The Murdaugh scandal.
You be coming up with some good.
Man, since when something just be seem like it's just juicy or something off, or like I be like, hold up. I know this rich man did not kill his wife, because you be thinking like, why would somebody kill their wife? And you know, we hear these stories all the time: millionaires killing their children or their wives, and it always usually comes back to them being in debt.
Yeah,
but you don't see the debt because all you see is fancy cars, yachts, boats, houses, and then once the investigation is underway, that's when they find out, oh, this man is so much in the hole, so much in debt. And the reason why he was mainly in debt was because he was doing drugs, all the partying, spending all the money, taking care of this, taking care of all the kids, paying off people. You said what? Are you talking to me?
Girl, Lord.
Oh, I can't hear you. You sound far away.
The kids.
Oh, I didn't know if you were talking to me or talking to the kids. But yeah, that's crazy, Tage. Ain't it crazy? That is crazy.
With the words that was coming out of my mouth. These kids get on my nerves.
Yes, that is crazy.
Baby kids alone.
But yeah, I just wanted to come on here to just discuss the sentencing real quick. But it took 3 hours. It took 3 hours, and the jury, when they asked the jury, like, how many of y'all? Because I guess with the jury, before they started, they asked everybody, "Do you think he's guilty?" And most of them said, "Yeah." Some said, "I'm not sure," and some of them said, "No." But they took a poll, like before they even started deliberating, before they even started, you know. I was like, oh, he's definitely guilty. If I would have been in that jury, I'd be like, oh, guilty. Throw away the key. Throw away the god doggone key. But yes. So for those of you who probably didn't tune in this morning, who might be sleeping, might be at work, that's what had happened. Oh, and then at the end of the like when they were reporting after the judge had gave the sentencing down, they said, now, do you guys think that they are going to now start trying to charge him for the death of his housekeeper? And they said, well, we're not sure right now, but it's always been suspect. It's always been suspicious how she died, the injuries from the way she died, and the money that he won in the lawsuit that he kept for himself and spent. All those millions of dollars, he spent it all.
Either mine.
Huh? You said what, sis? Is you on mute? No, you're not on mute. Your volume went out or something. I don't know what's going on with Sislo's with her volume, but I think her mic went out. Sislo, you might have to jump out and come back in. You just might have to. Where is that website I was going to tell you about? Okay, so for those of you who aren't familiar with this scandal of the Alex Murdaugh scandal, again, tune in to Netflix. Check out Netflix. It has a 3-part documentary on there. very detailed, very descriptive of the entire Murdaugh family, their history, down to their great grandparents. It's a family of lawyers who were very well known in the lower county area of their community, as covering up things, paying people off, making ways for their children to get away with certain things, including how his son Paul, the one that he murdered, got away with the murder of another female named Mallory, one of his high school friends, who was killed when he was recklessly driving his boat under the influence of alcohol. So, as far as the scandals, there's the scandal, of course, of Mallory, the girl that was killed. His son never did one day in jail over that. The scandal of the housekeeper who had mysteriously died after they said she tripped over their dog in their home, who ended up, after the autopsy, they found out that she had all type of really serious injuries, from even broken ribs. I'm like, how the hell you break your ribs by tripping over a dog? Huh? But anyway, and then the money that he had acted as her own attorney without even going to the family. Like, that's a conflict of interest right there. Because if you were to pass away and if you were to die working at the owner of the house where you work as a housekeeper, and they have insurance, your family, your children, your husband, your mother, somebody should be the one to go out and seek an attorney and hire that attorney to sue the place where you work. But no, he was snaky and went behind the scenes, made himself the lawyer, self-appointed lawyer for this lady, his housekeeper. And keep in mind that a few months before she passed away, he took out a commercial policy for his home estate, not for his law firm, not for I'm sure they had insurance over there, but he took out commercial coverage for his property, for all the acres and all the homes on the property, including the big house and the houses behind the big house. So when she passed away, he self-appointed him as her attorney without the people in her family having any knowledge of it. He was able to win the lawsuit. Basically, he sued himself. And won for the housekeeper. Did he give any of that money to her family, her children? No, he kept it. They never even knew that he had filed a lawsuit, that anybody had filed a lawsuit. Never knew. And when they found out all the millions that was supposed to come to her family from her death, they didn't find none of that out until he was being investigated and charged for the deaths of his wife and his son, Paul, who he murdered. He was found guilty this morning, was sentenced 2 consecutive life sentences for the double murder of his wife and son. So now they're wondering if they're going to go back and try to charge him again for this murder. Now, I can see them doing that. Charging him for the murder of the housekeeper. But when it comes down to it, that wife of his, I'm just thinking that she knows a lot more about that housekeeper situation. I could be reaching. But it's like, okay, the lady was in your house when she died. She had serious trauma, head injuries, broken ribs, and this was from tripping over your dog. It don't add up. And we all know that 2 + 2 = 4, not 9. Okay, so I can see that in the future, them charging for that murder, especially after all the millions that he kept that was supposed to go to to the family of the lady who passed away, his housekeeper. So I'm looking forward to finding that out if they're going to do that. Even though he'll never get out of prison, still he needs to be found liable, responsible for that, And as far as money wise, from the scandal of that, And the other scandals from taking money from his clients and taking that money from the lawsuit of the housekeeper, it's pretty obvious he probably doesn't have any money to pay out unless I don't know, even if they sell everything that he owned. If they charge him for the housekeeper and find him responsible and he owed money to that family, I don't even know if they'll get really paid for much of it. But still, if he found guilty, that'll be like some type of closure for the family. If he found guilty of that, it could end up in a third life sentence. But again, you can only live so long when you receive multiple life sentences. So as far as affecting him in prison, it will not affect him in prison, really. To have another life sentence tapped on to the first 2 life sentences, right? Right. So just to wrap it up again, Alice Murdaugh, as we heard this morning, he was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences. He will spend the rest of his natural born life in prison, where he belongs. So he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole today for the murders of his wife and grown son, Paul. This disgraced attorney totally ruined their dynasty. The judge was talking about this morning how he had to remove the pictures of his grandfather or great grandfather from the room where they had the trial, the courtroom, because he didn't want any bias or anything, within the jury and the spectators and things like that. But of course, because of his downfall, his disgrace, like he disgraced the community, the city of Low County, South Carolina, and his legacy, his grandparents, his grandfathers, even though some of them weren't too bright either. Some of them weren't too, as we saw in the Netflix documentary, And again, I refer some of y'all back to that if y'all are like, well, I don't understand everything that happened, or I'm not really familiar with the story. Netflix and chill. Netflix and chill. You can't go wrong watching the Netflix. So, out here, well, let me read what it says. Okay, the quote is in quotes. Amazingly to have you come and testify that it was just another ordinary day. My wife and son and I were out enjoying life. Not credible, said the judge. He said, not believable. You can convince yourself about it, but obviously you have the inability to convince anyone else about that, said Judge Clifton Newman during the sentencing this morning. After more than a month of dozens of witnesses, juries took less than 3 hours yesterday, to convict Murdaugh of 2 counts of murder in the June 2021 killings of his son, Paul, and his wife. And he was charged with 2 counts of possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime. Justice was done today, said lead prosecutor Creighton Waters in a Thursday night news conference. It doesn't matter who your family is. It doesn't matter how much money you have or people think you have. It doesn't matter how prominent you are. If you do wrong, if you break the law, if you murder, then justice will be done in South Carolina, South Kakalaki. So, Murdaugh's wife, Maggie, his 22-year-old son, Paul, who were found fatally shot on the family's Islandton property on June 7, 2021. That's who he took the stand to testify on. They said that they couldn't believe that he testified. And then when he did get up there to testify, like they saw no real sympathy, no real empathy, no real remorse, no real tears, by the way. That man was up there snotting and rubbing his eyeballs so they was bloody red, kept taking off his glasses and acting like he was just overcome with sorrow and sadness and no tears. The jury was like, no tears, not one tear. Like we were sitting right by him and not one tear. It was a lot of snot though. They said it was a lot of snot though. But yeah, prosecutors had argued Murdaugh's motive was to distract and delay investigation into his growing financial problems. They honed in on a history of deceit, arguing he stole millions of dollars from his former clients, as I said before, and from his law firm to cover his tracks. Theft and lies that Murdaugh admitted in court. So he actually admitted that as well. And the defense asked the verdict after the verdict asked for a mistrial, but Newman denied it, saying the jury had gotten enough time to consider the evidence, and the evidence of guilt was overwhelming. So there you have it, you guys. The evidence was clear. The jury said the evidence was clear. And the fact that also he had lied and said he wasn't anywhere around his wife and son when they were murdered. Then they had him on video, heard his voice and everything. And witnesses was like, yeah, that's his voice. That's him. You know, around the dog kennel around the time of death of his son and his wife. So yeah, it was just overwhelming evidence. I was not surprised at all. I know some of you guys who've been following this story was also not surprised. What up, Choreo Lover? How you doing? He said, did you already do your hypothesis on why he did it? He didn't even say, I didn't kill my wife and son. He said their government names. I thought that was telling. Yes, very, very telling. And I had watched the Netflix documentary. I knew he did it after watching that. I'm telling y'all, if y'all ain't watched the Netflix documentary, it was very good. Very, very good. It was so good. It was only 3 episodes. And after episode 3, I'm like, where's the rest? I need more. I want more. I was like, okay, that's it. Now I just got to wait, till the jury do his thing, wait till the rest of the trial is over to find out. But yeah, he lied about a lot of stuff. And he said, who do you think he did? Why do you think? Oh, we found out why he did it, like basically during the Netflix documentary, because he owed a lot of money. He was doing a lot of scams, stealing money from people, from his clients, from his law firm. He stole money from his housekeeper, millions of dollars from his housekeeper. Yeah, it was basically covering up. He killed them for life insurance money. That's basically what it was. It was a money thing. He killed them for life insurance money to cover up all the money that he had stolen, hoping to pay it back before it was noticed. And you know how that never ends well. That never ends well. But yeah, so that's my little review of the Netflix documentary. I didn't give too much out the documentary because I would love for you guys to watch it, because Netflix did a really great job with that documentary, like a really great job. So y'all have to check that out. The Alex Murdaugh, scandal on Netflix. You have to check that out. So watch that and then come back and leave me a comment under this video. Let me know if you enjoyed it, what you thought about it, and everything. Make sure you guys like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, please, and thank you very kindly. And also, don't forget, tonight, 9:00 p.m., we're going to be having our 5,000 subscriber and supporter celebration at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be playing games. We're going to be giving out prizes, cash apps, all that kind of stuff. 9:00 p.m. tonight, Central Time, our 5K celebration. No problem, Choreo. Thank you for joining us, love. Be here tonight at 9:00 for our 5K celebration. If you can, y'all. If you can. I truly appreciate you guys. I love all you guys. I appreciate everything you do for the Hood Table, whether it's watching us, rewatching the video, sharing the video, hitting that like button, Cash App, Super Chats, anything that you guys have ever done to be a blessing to the Hood Table. The entire Hood Table community, which is me and my little clique, me and my little crew, we do appreciate you. So on that note, stay safe, be blessed, remain vigilant at all times, and always remember to keep it hood. See you guys tonight at 9 p.m. for our 5K celebration. Bye.